This video covers notes 19.4 over multiplying radicals. So up top, our bell work is to review what we did yesterday over simplifying. When I'm looking, the square root of 6 cannot be simplified. The square root of 3 cannot be simplified. The square root of 6 cannot be simplified. However, the square root of 48 can be simplified. So I'm going to need to simplify the square root of 48 before I do anything else with this problem. And then once I've simplified all my square roots as much as I can, then we will continue by putting together the square roots that are the same. So 48 breaks up into 6 and 8. 6 is 2 and 3, 8 is 2 and 4, 4 is 2 and 2. So we have that 8 in front and then 4 2's and a 3. So when I take out the 2 2's, the 3 will stay inside. And remember, everything that you take out, you multiply. So 8 times 2 out front is really 32 square roots of 3. So when I finish this problem up, what we did yesterday is the square roots of 6 get to go together. So you have 3 square roots of 6, and you're taking away 2 square roots of 6, which is a total of 1 square roots of 6. You don't have to put the 1. And then I have 6 square roots of 3 and 32 square roots of 3 for a total of 38 square roots of 3. So to multiply radicals, so today we're doing multiplying instead of adding and subtracting. First thing you want to do is check on the calculator. That's not listed because we assume that you do that. But check on the calculator first. Then multiply the outside numbers. They get to go outside. Multiply inside numbers. They stay inside. And simplify if possible. So for number 1, if I test this out, the square root of 5 times the square root of 6. And we don't get a pretty number, so we're going to multiply. 5 and 6 are both inside of the square root, so I multiply to be the square root of 30. 30 breaks down into 3 and 10, and 10 is 2 and 5. None of these numbers are duplicates, so I would stop at the square root of 30 because I cannot simplify that further. The square root of 3 times the square root of 8. Again, I'm going to double check that in my calculator. 8. And I don't get a pretty number. So then inside the square root, I have a 3 and an 8, which simplifies to the square root of 24. 24 is 4 and 6, or we just did 3 and 8. 4 is 2 and 2, 6 is 2 and 3. So I do have a set of 2's I can take out. So the 2's get to go outside, the 2 and the 3 stay inside. And if I double check that, 2 square roots of 6 is the same as this ugly decimal with what we started with. Number 3, we have 5 square roots of 7 times 6 square roots of 2. It does not work nicely, so we multiply the outsides with the outsides. So 5 times 6 is 30, and then insides with insides, 7 times 2 is 14. 14 breaks up into 2 and 7, and both of those I cannot break down any further. So if I just double check my answer, 30 square roots of 14 is the same decimal. Number 4, we have negative 2 square roots of 6 times 5 square roots of 8. And we get another decimal, so we're going to have to do this one by hand as well. Out front, we have negative 2 times 5 for a total of negative 10. In the parentheses, we have 6 and 8, which makes 48. Now, if you remember up top, we already broke down 48, and we got 4 square roots of 3 when it catches up. This was our breakdown of 48 from earlier. So 48, we're going to take out a 4 and leave in a 3, and we had a negative 10 out front. So that simplifies to negative 40 square roots of 3. So make sure you're always checking to double check and see if what you've multiplied inside of the square roots can be broken down. Now, double check, same ugly decimal. Some of you might be wondering, you know that you could break 8 down into 2 and 4 down into 2 and 2. So you're already seeing like, hey, from the beginning I could break down 8, which is fine. However, you would still have to break it down. If you broke down 8, you took out a 2. Once you multiply it with a 6, you get another 2 from the 6. So you would still have to break it down. So that's why our advice is to multiply outside with outside, inside with inside, and then simplify. Because sometimes you could simplify, break it down, and then have to simplify again. So you might as well just wait till the end to fully simplify altogether. So a couple more problems on the back. Again, we always want to check in the calculator because it might save us some time. So negative 6 square roots of 2 times negative 8 square roots of 2. And how beautiful. This one works out nicely. We get 96. We don't have an ugly decimal, so there's nothing I have to do other than write that answer down. The square root of 5 squared, we're going to double check that one. The square root of 5 squared, how beautiful. It works out nicely, so take my advice. What's really happening here, for those of y'all who are interested, is we're multiplying first times first, and outside times outside, and inside times inside. When you multiply two square roots times themselves, the square roots cancel, because what's really happening is you would have the square root of 2 times 2, and you would be able to take that out. Same thing over here, we have the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, is what we're really looking at. And those square roots, you would end up with 2 of the 5s underneath, but it's best if you just always check in the calculator first. So number 7 is going to work out the same way, so these notes are actually going to be really quick. So make sure you try everything in the calculator first. Then if it doesn't work, outside the square root is multiplied with outside, inside multiplied with inside, then simplify the insides if needed.